Hey, everybody, I'm Tommy, and you are on the boat. Kathy Burkhart, good to see you. So this is a case that I talked about, back in 2024. Hey, Ann from Mass, glad you're here. I talked about this case literally now 2 years ago. This is the Alexander brothers. These cats are real estate tycoons. I mean, they made ungodly amounts of money. Krista Melinda, good to have you. These were individuals. Oh, do me a favor. Smack that like button when you first get in here. It pushes us out a little bit more. The News Nut, good to see you, man. Brock Bandy, what's happening? The Johnny Scoville. Hey, how are you? I'm glad that you're here, Jonathan. I know, right? Archie's mom, good to have you here. So here's the deal on the Alexander brothers. These guys made ungodly money in Florida. One of the brothers, the older one, ran a security company that dad had started. Now, these guys literally were providing security for like Benjamin Netanyahu. They are a Jewish family, but they provide security to big famous people as well as like, heads of state and things of that nature. Ms. Dixon, good to have you here. Gosh, been waiting all day. You know, that's on me. A lot going on today in Ecuador. It's been busy, has it not? Been crazy busy day.
What a good day.
Yeah, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying it was a very busy day. Listen, this case ought to piss you off, and it's not going to be for the reasons that you think that you should. KP Nordic, what's happening, man? Good to see you. Always a pleasure to see you, KP. This is going to anger you, or it should, for reasons that may not jump off of the page. So these guys are accused of sexually assaulting, can't say that, right? Or rape. Got to not say those. YouTube will absolutely shut you down. Yep. Yeah, YouTube will shut you down for that. Honey, good to have you here. I will not police my language. I'm sorry. They're accused of sexually assaulting 60 women, Johnny Scoville. And these 60 women, the most of them were allegedly assaulted with gamma hydroxybutyric acid. We've talked about date rape drugs on this channel. That's the one where you threw up all over the elevator in Texas. Johnny Scoville did a little GHB with me one day and hurled all over God's creation. He had been drinking a lot by way of full disclosure. You may have gotten arrested that night. Lynn, good to see you. What's happening? Christianese. I know, but I wasn't with you, which is always good, right? So here's what happened with the Alexander brothers. These guys allegedly were using gamma hydroxybutyric acid, GHB, which had become a club drug. And I know people, you hear the guys that never partied on this go, why would anybody take that? All you're going to do is pass out and not remember anything. And that's not necessarily the case. It depends on dosage, right? You take a very small dose of that and it just kind of sets you off unless you've been drinking all day, like the Johnny Scoville, in which case one cap just destroyed a hotel.
I won the fight.
Well, that's good. That always got to make you feel better. Another one of those nights I said, don't get in a fight. Don't get arrested. Right? Got the phone call. Got in a fight, got arrested. Diane, good to have you here. Lurking, says Christianese. Well, I'm glad that you're here. That means a lot to me. Johnny was hoping someone would take advantage of him. It just didn't work out.
You know what? I'll tell you what. He almost tried. You were patient. He tried.
Oh, you're talking about Big Steve?
Yeah.
Oh, he was a creep, wasn't he? So, all right, here's the deal. These guys it's been alleged that these guys do this. Now, there are many different classes within the date rape drug field, right? The original was probably Quaaludes, right? They've been gone for a really long time, but a lot of people.
South Africa, apparently.
Well, now they're not manufacturing them there anymore, but they were around for so long that people are still selling bootleg methaqualone. Go figure, right? Judy Jetson, good to see you. Yeah, these guys are absolutely foul, right? These guys are absolutely foul. But I'm going to tell you the narrative that's already taking off, and go out on a limb, and you'll know exactly who's going to run with this. But Mark Garagos appeared on the Megyn Kelly network. Yeah, the MK network. He was on there, looking a little, looking like maybe he was smoking the devil's lettuce. He couldn't even open his eyes. It was kind of funny. But anyway, he was being. Lynn says the 714s. Yes, they are 714s. And if you don't know what a 714 is, well, you're probably really young or you lived a good youth. So anyway, these for a better man than me. But so he goes on there on the MK network, right? This is the Megyn Kelly thing. And he's interviewing with a former prosecutor who you've seen on a lot of other people's shows as well. And they're talking about this and they're laughing. They're getting a really good laugh out of this. The only thing that gives me any hope for society is the fact that the people in the chat lit them up, right? I was reading the transcript and I'm like, this doesn't sound very respectful. So let me tell you Mark Garagos' take on this. He said that he views a lot of these trials, and he's not necessarily saying all these women are liars. I'm not going to misrepresent him. But he said there are many different classes of sexual assaults that you have to defend. And this is one of the hardest to prosecute because he referred to it as, are you ready?
Yes.
He referred to it as regret. Like these girls go out and get really drunk, and they always claim that they had way too much to drink or that somebody drugged them. But they're regretting what happened. And very often they don't report it instantly, which he has a problem with. I mean, do some research for the love of God. We're moving backwards. We really are. We're moving backwards as a society for things like these cases.
We aren't here.
This is really foul, right? This is foul. But their take on this was that this is just women that regret, and they're giggling about it, and they're laughing about it. These are people who are sexually assaulted, and very often it's not cool at all. Very, very often, thank you, Jeannie Hansen. It's very hard to prosecute these for a lot of reasons, but one of them is this. There's a reason that these scumbags aren't using benzodiazepines, which would get the same effect. If you were to give somebody, a couple of Klonopin and put it in a drink, they're gonna have very similar issues that they would have with GHB. You know why they use GHB, Johnny Scoville?
Tell me why.
Because it does not stay testable in your system for any real length of time. A benzo, you can test in someone's urine for up to 72 hours. Depending on who you believe, it can be as bad as 45 minutes with GHB. But even under the best of circumstances, like a really high dose, not a lot of urination, right? So that it's sitting in the system, you're still only looking at about 3 to 6 hours in urine, up to 8 in blood. But most of these people pass out, right? So it might be 10 hours before they wake up. They realize that something's wrong. Their head is foggy. By the time they go in to get tested, no one is going to be able to say that they were doing this. Where do they get it? That's a great question, Lynn. And I'm not going to get into a lot of the details because one of the things I don't want to do on the Lifeboat ever is teach individuals, how to break the law. But once gamma hydroxybutyric acid was run off the market, because there was a time that you could get it legally. But once they took it off of the market, the only ways you're going to get it are, number one, you get a legal prescription. If you're somebody that suffers really bad with sleep issues or with narcolepsy where you can't control when you sleep, they use GHB in pills sometimes to treat those people. The vast majority of the stuff you see on the street is going to be in a liquid form. Once they made it very difficult to get, people began to, are you ready?
Yeah.
They would buy floor stripper. There was a particular brand of floor stripper. Obviously, I'm not going to share which one. It has since been almost completely taken off of the market. There are still people that sell it online that you can find it where they had huge stashes of this. There were people that had companies that just dealt with selling supplies to people that work on buildings or whatever. What ends up happening is they shut down their legitimate business because they can now sell a gallon of this stuff for ungodly money. But it was as simple as this. You would take that particular brand of floor stripper and you would mix it with a type of denatured water. I'm sorry, not denatured, but reverse osmosis water. And then you would start to play with the pH balance, and you would either add caustic soda or you would add more water, but you would try to get the pH to a certain level. And boom, you got GHB. Whippets are a little different. Whippets, they don't last long in the body, if that's what you're saying. But whippets are, you breathe into your lungs. It's just, all a whippet is laughing gas. It's NO2, nitrous oxide.
I didn't do that.
What's that?
I didn't do that.
Good Lord. The things you say, man. Johnny Scoville apparently has never done a whippet. I remember going to his fraternity house once and walking in, and they were like ankle deep in his room. And my mother went, "What are those?" And I go, like the stuff I put in the BB gun. Idiot. Hey, Roberta, good to see you. So they use gamma hydroxybutyric acid because the women aren't going to test for it. And now all of a sudden they're not being believed. And like my friend just said, we are moving backwards, and we really are. This trial, I promise you, and this is why I'm pissed, this trial is already in danger. Make no mistake, it is. Because the narrative is already this. They're overcharging this, right? They're overcharging this. They shouldn't call this human trafficking. And you know what? Look, man, I'm no legal beagle, but I will tell you this. We really need to get to a point where people that do this kind of stuff are terrified. And if you have money, they're not. Mark Garagos is going on shows already and saying, I think this prosecution is in serious trouble. Let me tell you something. There are going to be 30 women that head into this trial. 30, right? And these 30 women are going to tell the same story. First one, let's go back to 2008 and 9. 2 underage victims under the age of 18 allege rapes by Oren and Alon at Miami parties involved coercion and isolation setting and isolated settings, pardon me. This is going to be part of the federal indictment. This is what these girls are going to be taking the stand. 2010, Rebecca Mandel claims drugging and assault by all 3 at a Manhattan party, described waking disoriented, and she filed a lawsuit in 2024. You're going to have people like Mark Garagos say that these women go out to the Hamptons or they go into these parties in New York. They know they're going to really glamorous locations. These brothers are paying for them to fly there, and it gets a little bit deeper than they want it to go. I am not going to believe that shit, but you could probably convince me if they were having sex with one of them. But you're telling me that these women showed up and went, all right, I'll let all 3 brothers do me. And then halfway through it decided that was a bad idea. You're not selling me on that shit. Doesn't make sense. It doesn't pass the smell test. And with any luck, this kind of stuff is going to get taken seriously again. The Diddy thing undermined women. It really did, man. Never mind Florida. Correct. They did this in Florida. They did it in the Hamptons. They at least 3 locations: New York City, the Hamptons, which is out on Long Island, and in Florida. We used to get full nitrous tanks in the 90s warehouse raves, Special K and pink Mitsubishis. That would have been the disco biscuits shaped like the Mitsubishi symbol. I don't know what you're talking about, but I think that might be what you're talking about. Is Johnny's blood sugar low? Is he low on capsaicin? Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? 4 days.
And just as importantly, there is a person that in about an hour and 40 minutes is dropping some stuff off for me here that's supposed to hurt you in terms of capsaicin. But I wasn't going to tell you until I was live.
Really?
Because now I'm putting you on the spot, you see. That's how we do it. Johnny needs some systroming. I will show you the door, Papa. You don't want that. Let's not do any of the S words around here. 3 states, do trafficking laws apply? Yeah, technically. But here's the thing. In the Diddy case, and here's the narrative that's already running. In the Diddy case, we have people that didn't understand exactly what was happening in terms of RICO, right? There are 2 theories. One is that they bought this jury in the Diddy case. The second theory is that they couldn't really make a jury of 12 Americans completely understand exactly what that means, right? What does it mean to do the RICO with only one person? These are legal theories that, as much as a judge can read jury instructions, it's not really going to make somebody understand how often that RICO has been used outside of the mafia. Because for most of us who are into true crime, you hear RICO and you go, the Italians, right? This was a law that was kind of put into place so that they could go after the heads of large criminal organizations. Because the guy at the top might order a murder and it goes down through 5 people, and then a soldier goes out and does it. You're never going to get the guy that ordered it. So they came up with this whole RICO concept in order to beat that. But there's a lot of different ways it's used. It's even used civilly. However, if you can't make a jury understand that, maybe just go for the low-hanging fruit, right? Maybe go for rape. Most people understand the concept. But unfortunately, because of how this case is, part of this case is going to be trafficking. And the reason is they were flying these women all over the United States. And if you're thinking to yourself, well, that's kind of like Diddy and the Mann Act. The Mann Act is when the person you're bringing across state lines, you're going to pay for sex, right? It is very specifically kind of a prostitution thing. You're transporting people across state lines for sex, and there is some kind of compensation usually involved in that. This is not that. These people they just thought they were going to parties. And when you read more and more of the testimonies of these women, it's absolutely heartbreaking. I mean, literally, 2012 incidents. Kate Whiteman, this is the girl, somebody say Whitman. She's the one that just recently died in Australia. Right, a lot of conspiracy theories around that. Say it again.
She was the first person.
She was the first person to come forward with it. She called one of the very large law firms in the United States to try to start a suit, and it broke open the floodgates. But she alleged she was forced into an SUV, forced into a car. Right, that's kidnapping. Excuse me. By Oren and Alon. They were raped at Sir Ivan's Castle. The lawsuit stated she was terrified and couldn't escape. Evidence from those filings are going to be used in trial in spite of the fact that she can't testify. She was, however, not intending to testify. Wouldn't have been a great person to take out, especially with 30 more that are going to come in there and say the exact same thing. No, I'm sorry, Lynn. They didn't do it in Australia. This was an Australian model. She died in 2025 at the age of 45. However, the incident took place in 2012. A cruise ship.
A long time.
Yeah, they were doing it for 10 years, allegedly. They had a 10-year run doing this. Hey, Mike, good to see you, man. Go wait at the door, Johnny. This is... So the cruise ship, there was an assault by an anonymous victim. By the way, anonymous is going to keep coming back up. They're going to allow these women to testify anonymously. One of the reasons that these women, a lot of them didn't come forward, is because these guys are terrifyingly wealthy. I mean, these guys, this is the kind of money that Diddy had. Hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions. And these are some sick puppies. They were afraid about what would happen to them if they come forward. This is legit. Mark Garagos and the guy that was interviewing him over on the Megyn Kelly network kind of downplay this. But for the love of God, we already know statistically less than half are going to come forward anyway, right? In the best of circumstances. Now, you have to add in this. If somebody drugs you, right, and you're not somebody that does drugs, you're not somebody that ever partied, but you get drugged, and that night you had 6 or 7 glasses of champagne, or you had a couple of cocktails, and you were already feeling pretty good, and you start to talk yourself into the next morning going, oh my God, I drank until I blacked out. What did I do last night? Your first thought isn't, I got drugged, right? That's usually not how that works. And then you have to come to the realization, if 2 days later you think about this, you're going to go, I'm going to go in there and tell them this happened. And these really rich guys are going to say, she was into it. She asked us to bring 4 more guys in. Who wants to go through that kind of embarrassment? Honestly. And I know that justice should be served. And boy, let's hope it gets served. Because if these guys are found not guilty, or any variation of it. Here, before we do that, though, this isn't quite like Diddy, right? There are a bunch of different angles that this case is taking. It's not a RICO deal. They are being charged with human trafficking. They're also being charged with assault in some of these. There are also some state crimes. They're looking at 15 to life in the feds, but there's a lot of different ways that these guys can end up behind bars for long periods of time. But it scares me, not so much because I think the case is in jeopardy, but because when I hear Mark Garagos and these asshats talking about how this is a regret kind of a situation, right? Okay, you know what? There's one girl that comes out and says, I was drinking with this guy on a boat and we kind of got rowdy and I woke up in the morning and I don't remember, really what happened, but I was sore in places I shouldn't be sore. You can go, well, you know what? People party. I'm not saying that she's lying, but it's one person and it is a he said, she said. You get up to 60 people, right? And many of them say all 3 of the brothers had sex with me. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm just a square, man. Maybe it's like I grew up in a different time period, but I have a hard time believing any of these women knew that they were getting ready to hang out with the entire brother, contingent of 3 people. That to me doesn't make any sense at all. They were vile. Yeah, they are. And I'm going to say they are vile. And you know something? Yeah, we could throw out an allegedly. But allegedly, there are also text messages, and allegedly, there may have been some tape that has been found. These guys like to record themselves. And when I covered this the last time, there were people that made these accusations all the way back to high school with these guys. Allegedly. But yes, they are innocent until proven guilty. They have absolutely said that they didn't do this. They are denying it across the board. Who do you think their lawyer is? What kind of lawyer takes this case? Mark Agnifilo, the same guy that took Diddy's case. No, they are not out on bail, and they never will be, right? The federal government, this was taking place right around the same time as Diddy's was. And I think there was pressure not to let them out because they were white and Diddy was black, and they had not let Diddy out. But in all honesty, their crimes are probably more believable. And don't take that the wrong way. But what I mean by that is, in rock and roll, you got groupies, you got hangers-on, you got people that want to get famous and all this stuff. These are just three businessmen that were tricking these women into going around the country with them so that they could rape them, and more often than not, film it. Allegedly. Not cool at all. But they are in, and they are not getting out. So today,
how long have they been in?
They've been in since I believe late 24. I'd have to check that, but if not, they've been in definitely since 25. They're in MDC Brooklyn. They're in the same facility that Diddy was in. Their case is out of the Southern District of New York, so they're housed in the same building as Diddy, and they were supposed to start their trial today. But if you happen to be in the Northeast of America right now, from what I understand, it's awfully cold, Johnny Scoble.
Right here.
Yeah, a lot of snow and whatnot. Bad winter storm. This winter storm has postponed the festivities, so to speak, until tomorrow, and the trial will start then. They're saying this trial could take up to a month. I really am going to be very, very disheartened if this becomes another one of these cases where people with enough money can hire the best. Mark Agnifilo. Here's something else you gotta. Mark Agnifilo comes out and he makes statements during the whole Diddy trial, right? Diddy is unequivocally innocent. This is bullshit. I realize that's his job, right? But he's not just a lawyer. He's a freaking advocate, and he's a pretty hardcore advocate. Now he's going to do that for these three brothers and talk about how all of these girls are just money diggers. They all just want to get cash out of this. How the hell do you look at yourself in the mirror, Mark Agnifilo? How in hell do you do this for a living? I understand that every once in a while, thanks. You like that, Chicken Cherry Cola? That is it's a Swatch Blanc Pain edition. Kind of a cool watch. I got this in Florida a long time ago. I might have been down there visiting my significant other way back in the day. For those of you who've been watching long enough, you remember that trip. But yeah, I bought it way back then. Yeah. So, yeah. So we find ourselves with these guys heading into court, and I promise you, there's a movement afoot to make these guys similar to Diddy in that, this is just some people that are going after money. Mark Agnifilo is an absolute lowlife, in my opinion. I can understand if you get forced into taking one of these every once in a while. Let's say you work on the public defender's, docket. You're a lawyer that works in the public defender's office. You have to take cases that come in. But when you choose what cases to take, and you take a lot of these particular kind of cases, what does that say about you as a human being, man? Scumbag. Right? Graham Tam 23, I'm glad you're catching us live. This guy's a lowlife, man. This is the same guy that represented Diddy. By the way, oddly enough, guess who's prosecuting him? Mark Garagos' kid.
What?
Yeah. Or if it's not his kid, it's his grandkid. But yeah, Mark Garagos, one of his offspring is in the prosecutor's office on this. Wow. None of it makes any sense.
It all smells bad.
Chrysler George, good to see you. This is one I'm going to be covering as much as we can. It's not going to be easy to cover because it is obviously not going to be televised. No federal cases in the United States are televised. So that's out, right? Who are these brothers? Well, they are three fellows that are Jewish. And I mentioned that for only one reason. One of the things that first turned me on to this case was somebody that was on the boat that was very tied in to the Jewish community in Florida. And at the time, I was also hanging out and doing a lot of stuff on Surviving the Survivor. And Joel also knows a lot of people in that community, the host of Surviving the Survivor. This was one of those, a secret that everybody knew about. Yeah, he likes money, Ann from Massachusetts. But you know something? There's a lot of other big money stuff out there, right? So this is one of those cases, right? That these guys got rich. They already had a good head start. Their father owned a company that provided security for the rich and famous, and very often, political dignitaries, people from other countries and whatnot. One of the brothers because they're two of them are twins, and one is a year older, I believe, than the twins. If not, it's a year younger. But there are three of them. And one took over and started running the security firm for his father and blew it up into a huge, huge amount of revenue annually. The brothers went into real estate. Abernathy Finch. I don't know that case, believe it or not, Christianese. I don't get to say that very often. Or if I do, I can't. I know what you're saying. The person that ran Abercrombie and Fitch. The person that ran Abercrombie and Fitch had not done anything wrong, right? All of the allegations were past 10 years. Most were past 15 years. He was also in his 80s, and at that point had become, for all intent and purpose, he's senile. He's suffering from early onset dementia. He's not all there. And they weren't worried about him running and hiding. And they also didn't want to be on the hook for paying the amount of money that it's going to take to monitor somebody like that. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. They didn't view him as the same kind of threat that they viewed Diddy or that they view the Alexander brothers. Really an old guy and not much left on the ball. He was slipping really badly. They will end up, he'll end up getting prosecuted and convicted, but he will never be able to go to a prison. I mean, he won't. He'll be in a medical facility for the rest of his life. He's almost gone mentally, and that's why. Not great, but sadly, it's the truth. But these guys, so the two brothers went into real estate, and they sold. I mean, they sell houses that are $240 million, right? These guys sell massively, massively huge and expensive properties, and they had property in South Beach. They had property in Manhattan. And they had property out on Long Island. They have been written about in every single major publication that has anything to do with business or real estate. These guys were friggin' tycoons, right? They were killing it, and they were young, and it was just, they got everything you could ever want in life, except the ability to sleep with someone who's unconscious. I don't get that. Is that like a necrophilia thing? I don't understand. Now, admittedly, not all of them would have had to have been unconscious. A lot of times when you take substances like this, you're unconscious, but you're walking around. You're literally, it's the scariest concept in the whole world if you think about it in terms of sexual assault and rape. And this is why in the Diddy case, you would hear the stories of these women who are on tape. And they say, they can see themselves on tape and have no memory of them doing it. It's going to cause a blackout. It's going to drug the part of your brain that feels inhibitions, right? It's, alcohol does this. This is why people dance on tabletops with light lampshades on their head.
There's no proof of that.
No, there is absolutely proof of that. That is why people end up doing that. However, with some of these drugs like gamma hydroxybutyric acid, GHB is going to literally shut down parts of your brain. You're just going to happen to be awake. But it's like looking at zombies almost. It's especially in the higher doses. It's also dangerous. It's a super heavy-duty respiratory depressant. But by all accounts, these guys were doing this for a long period of time. Where do we leave off? 2012? In the mid-2010s, in 2016 in Miami Beach, a woman, via a video statement, she will be anonymous for the court as well, alleges she was assaulted by Oren Alon and an associate named Ohad Fisherman, at a condo. She was held down and raped while crying, "Please no." She confided in friends but delayed reporting part of the state charges. You're going to see stuff like told friends or texted people. There is going to be evidence coming in that backs up these women's stories, even the ones that didn't go to the police, right? Laura Lou says, let's ask Bill Cosby. Absolutely another individual that seemed to have a desire to sleep with people that were unconscious. It makes no sense to me. Now, obviously, it's a control thing, but it's just, I don't know, man. It's creepy as shit. 2017. An anonymous victim claims drugging and group rape at a party, lured with networking promises, focuses on coordination via texts. So she's going to bring in all kinds of text messages talking about how, come up here, we're going to set you up with this, this, and this. Does that prove that she was raped? No, but chances are what it proves is that they were promising things they have nothing to do with, right? To some of these people, they said, yeah, we can get you modeling gigs. You're a real estate guy. You're promising women that you can get them modeling jobs and flying them out to the Hamptons. If you take those first two things and throw a rape onto the third one, it starts to look like premeditation for bad acts, right? And I think we're going to see more and more and more of this. 2021 Flamingo Drive. An anonymous woman via a statement alleges aggressive assault by Oren at his Miami home. Dress ripped, pushed back onto a bed, described shock and force linked to the state charges as well. 2021, several anonymous victims alleged assaults in South Florida, New York. This involved flights and hotels as lures, drugging, and non-consensual recordings of the sex act. These guys are sleazy, man. These guys are sleazy. And again, I'm all for saying reasonable doubt. I'm all for saying they're not guilty till proven guilty in a court of law. I'm all for all of that shit. But again, when one person accuses someone of that, it's very easy to go, yeah, I don't know, man. It's a he said, she said. And if there's no evidence other than what she says and what he says, as human beings, we have to at least open the door that maybe this is BS. But when you find out that 60 women come forward and are saying the same thing, these guys need to be behind bars for a long period of time. Cosby was using Quaaludes. That is the word that he had been using a lot of those. They don't go bad. I don't care what anybody says. So if he had bought a lot of them in the 80s, he theoretically could still have them. You also, if you had enough money, you could have been buying real, no-joke Quaaludes up until about 2 or 3 years ago when they finally stopped. The last place on earth that was manufacturing them was allegedly in South Africa. And, of course, they weren't called Quaaludes. They were called Mandrax. Mandy's. Giggity. But it's the exact same thing. It's just methaqualone. If these guys are convicted, what would their status be with other inmates? Great question. Great question. Their status would be you need to run and hide. And while you're running and hiding, you should probably be doing push-ups because these guys are going to be targets in ways you can't imagine. This is the second worst thing you could go into prison with on your prison jacket, on your file. If these people were underage, that would make it worse. But have no fear, because a couple of the people that are going to be testifying in this court case were in fact underage, allegedly. So they're going to have to watch their back constantly. That's a flock of parrots. How annoying is that? I know we have somebody in here that loves parrots, but here's the deal, man. If you've never heard them in a flock, they're a really loud and annoying bird. Good afternoon, all. I'm staying at a haunted hotel tonight in a haunted room. The Mission Inn in Riverside. How cool is that? Well, look, I'm going to be going live at 9. You're going to have to come in and tell us if you're hearing footsteps or seeing apparitions, if you're recording cool sounds. I think that's awesome, man. I really do. Yeah, same bunk beds. Chrysler George says, same bunk beds. These guys are in for a bad time. 2021. So the patterns in this are all the same, right? There's that initial enticement. There's the glamour. There's the yachts. There's the jets. And then drugging, right? They're all getting spiked drinks. Physical restraints, delayed reporting due to fear of brother's influence. But we're going to hear the Mark Garagoses of the world say that these are women that just started partying. They love the money. They love the boats. They love the jets. They wanted to go to the Versace mansion, which someone was allegedly raped in. Yes, a flock of parrots. It's annoying. Hey, Ms. Weenie Pooh, good to see you. Mark, what's happening? But this is going to be a narrative that from the defense part of this, and this is Mark Agnifilo. If this guy isn't a lowlife, he'll do until the lowlife shows up. You know what I'm saying? Honestly, I have zero respect for him. And I have less respect for these days for Mark Garagos. If you have an opportunity, I don't play other people's stuff on my channel ever. It's just a great way to get into pissing contests. But you can head on over to Megyn Kelly's show and look at the interview that they did about this case with Mark Garagos. And you're going to hear them talk about things like, well, it's regret. You know, they wanted to go out and party and, you know, maybe you knew something like that, you know, was likely to happen. They're flying you around the country. Maybe you should have assumed the kind of sex was involved with all three brothers being held down. Right? It's just foulness in every single part of this. It's foul and disgusting, and we have to get better, right? We have got to get better at not allowing this narrative to gain traction again. Because if we do, in the next 10 years, we'll be saying, what was she wearing? Right? That kind of stupid shit that we used to say as a society. But I don't like Garagos either. And if I ever did, I'm liking him a lot less now. And here's the thing. If you do go over to that, leave a comment. I'm telling you, right? Just, I know it's engagement, but let them realize just how foul that is. And when you read the comments, the first things you're going to see are people going, "You're laughing about this?" Right? This is funny to you guys. I wonder how funny it would be if his kid was one of the victims instead of the person prosecuting this, right? If his relative was somebody that got on a plane because they wanted to see the Hamptons, because it's pretty absolutely awful. Thank you, Brock Bandy. Good looking out. They're all rapists utilizing drugs as to not be reported. And GHB is a perfect drug for that because it's not going to be in the system long enough. You know, the girl passes out and sleeps for 8 hours. It's out of her system, right? They're not going to be able to go in there and test for that. And you know how many times that's happened? You know how many times people went in and pissed in a cup only to have them come back and say, yeah, there was nothing in your system. Sure, you didn't just drink a little bit too much last night, right? Evil in a way that you just cannot believe. Christine East, I stopped watching Megyn Kelly as well. I think she's another one that's for sale. It's a bummer. But the report that she did about Brother Bilal and how he didn't even know, the Fresh Prince. He wasn't even an associate of Will Smith. There are pictures of him in Will Smith's autobiography. He's mentioned in Will Smith's book, right? This is a guy that it doesn't take any research at all, right, to find out that, of course, he's known him. He's known him for a long time. He's listed as credits on movies. He's listed as, on albums. How can anybody come up with that unless they're being paid off? Or you're that shitty a journalist. And she didn't get to where she is by not being a good journalist, right? Looks will carry you looks can carry you a long way. But she is a decent journalist, or was at one time. And now, look, when you start your own network, right, honestly, like TMZ, how easy is it? There's nobody that you have to walk into their office and go, yeah, I kind of did this. I BS'd a little bit. Rick, didn't Garagos represent the Menendez brothers? Yes. To the best of my knowledge, he still does on a couple of different aspects of their case. She's getting carried away with the glam, etc. I agree with you. And at that point, money becomes a very palpable thing, right? If you're banging out YouTube videos, to make a couple of grand a month, it's a little different than having an actual channel on YouTube that's putting up this kind of content where this is tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars. And you absolutely at that point wield influence. These are influence peddlers. These are, you're no longer just a content creator. You're an influencer. It's a frightening title if you think about it in those terms. Harvey Levin can taint a jury pool. Megyn Kelly can make people believe that somebody was not friends with somebody who for 30 years, they were damn near inseparable, right? They worked on every project together. It's frightening the amount of power that these people wield just with words. But pay attention to the narratives because this sucks, right? This sucks that we now are hearing people say, well, this is really more of a date rape, kind of a case where it's rape by association. These people, and then maybe it goes a little bit too far, and then the next day you're kind of, you're kind of regretting it. And Garagos literally tells a story. He said, but then if you can't test for the drug, which you often can't, he said, if you get a prosecutor that's really industrious, he had one case allegedly, according to him, where the girl gets up to go to the bathroom and puts a cocktail napkin over the top of her glass. And on film, the guy lifts the cocktail napkin, throws some drug in there, and they had that on film at the bar. And Mark Garagos laughs and says, and at that point, you start talking about maybe, let me go in and negotiating a deal for you. Because that's just funny as shit, right? He's a lowlife, man. I'm tired of it. And I'm tired of the fact that these guys have the level of respect that they do, right? They're all for sale. Every one of them is just, they're lowlives, man. They're absolutely, she is real chummy with Maureen Callahan. Yeah, Maureen is Megan's yes woman. Sadly true, right? Who is pure fluff entertainment. Yeah, I'll tell you something else about her. She's super close friends with a couple of Scientologists. And I don't mean your run-of-the-mill Scientologist. I mean OT8s and shit. And those people don't often associate with people outside of Scientology. Like allegedly Grant Cardone and and his wife are very close with Megyn Kelly and her husband. And that always freaks me out a little bit because I'm aware of the cult of Scientology and what those people mean and what they make up, right? How they are as human beings. And I'll be the first to tell you, without an allegedly, they're scary people in a scary cult.
The guy, I don't remember the case, Brandon Wilson killed a kid in the bathroom in California, stabbed him.
Yeah.
I watched him interview the attorney. They said, how can you defend him like this? He says, he's guilty. I just want to make sure he gets a fair defense.
Right.
That's different from what Garagos is doing. Garagos is a scumbag.
Yeah, he makes a good point. There's this really foul case from back in the day where a guy that tripping goes in and kills a kid. And it was one of the most disturbing cases that it was ever on court TV. And somebody interviewed the lawyer and said, how do you take a case like this? He said, he's guilty. But I'm going to do such a great job that there's no chance he's ever going to get off on appeal or anything else. I'm going to give. That's not what these guys are doing, right? I mean, Mark Agnifilo isn't saying, well, everybody's entitled to a defense. He's saying these guys got enough money where I'll try to get them off as hard as I can, right? I will do everything I can to try to make sure these guys don't do time. There's no way you look at all this evidence and go, I think that these guys are innocent. There's just no way. You look at this evidence, and there's so many people. Garagos and Alan Dershowitz are both slimy, in my opinion. Hey, look, I have a real problem with Alan Dershowitz because Alan Dershowitz has written papers about how the age of consent should be lowered. Did you catch that? Right? You ever met anybody that told you that they think the age of consent should be lowered ever in your entire life? I have not. Right? Maybe Woody Allen. Low-hanging fruit. If convicted, what would their status among... they would be... I promise you, they will be rubbed out. Their status among convicts would be the absolute worst. Guaranteed, it would get ugly. They're not going to put up with this kind of stuff, right? This is the lowest of crimes. You're taking someone's ability to say no, and nobody has any sense of humor for that at all, Lisa, I promise you. Pam Bondi is also a Scientology ally. I did not know that. Did you know that Bondi was
current, or did she escape?
No, she just says that an ally thereof, not an ally, not. She's definitely not a Scientologist because that's pretty easy. It's hard to hide. Although Will Smith and Jada seem to have hit it. Don't yell at me. I went to a Scientology group in Philly in '74. They rejected me because I asked question after question. They put me in a room to read a book. I turned their questions back on them. Yeah, they don't like that. They don't like that. They brainwash their members into not feeling emotion, knowing they'll be putting them through emotional trauma. Yeah, it's exactly it, Tommy Bird. That's it in a nutshell, isn't it? Pretty low even for lowlifes. Yeah, and they're gonna if they're convicted of this, right? Which was Lisa's original question. If convicted, they're looking at 15 to life, and they're not going to get the 15 part of this. Although that'll hold them. 15 years in a federal prison with that particular brand of filth on your jacket. 15 years is like doing 40.
They check in immediately.
Yeah, but the problem is, so Johnny Scoville says they would check in immediately, and they would. Make no mistake, they would check in immediately. However, you're not going to go to a sex offender yard. You're going to go to a check-in yard, right? So you're going to have, let's say there's 1,200 people on the yard, right? 400 of them might be sex offenders. But the rest of them are going to be guys that ran up a drug debt and had to go hide from the people that wanted to kill them. They're going to be gang members that got kicked out of their gang. So they're a lieutenant in the AB on Wednesday, and the following Wednesday they're in a check-in yard. They're no less dangerous than they were the previous Wednesday. So a check-in yard doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be 100% protected. It just doesn't work that way, man. I went to a Scientologist K through 12 in LA. Really weird place to grow up. My goodness. I am glad that you are out and free and safe. It's a lot of people that never get out. But that's awesome. It really is. Thank God. Because that's an ugly place. Brock Bandy says only half of you have hit the like button. Brock will come to your house. If you've not seen photos of him. Yeah, he has come to Johnny's simply for not hitting the thumbs up. So it does happen.
If you've never seen the guy either, you can walk through a brick wall.
Yeah, and he's a big dude. And he's a big dude. Going back to the brothers, do they get to see each other? Normally, that is not the case. Right? Normally, that's not the case. They will be, even if they're housed in the same facility, there is a chance, because they're high-profile inmates, that they could be in a wing like Diddy was. And if that's the case, they would probably get to see each other through the door. There's a 1 in a million chance they would let them live together. It's in the feds. It's very difficult for that to happen. They do what they can to keep relatives separated. All three of them.
Hot because I can unlike the button. He's a good-looking dude. Not gonna lie.
Tara, don't do that. Don't do that. It's not worth the risk. No, but seriously, hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell for notifications. So
he is married.
Yeah, he is. He is married, to the best of my knowledge. This is the only true crime channel that I've been watching lately. Oh, I'm glad to hear that. I really am. You know what? There are some other good ones out there. I like Surviving the Survivor. I think they do a really great show. I think they're honest, they're forthright, and they have great guests on. That's a solid. Then there are others, but that's one I really dig. But we certainly bring a slightly different approach, and we will continue to do so. I will be on later tonight, 9 o'clock on the East Coast. You don't want to miss this one. Bring questions, all that you can. We're going to be getting into Nancy Grace. There you go. Johnny Sco is a big Nancy Grace fan. JCS Criminal Psychology is the best. Yeah, legends. JCS. Without JCS, none of us are.
Carcass clean like Nancy Grace.
No one is ready to pick a carcass clean like Nancy Grace.
She will.
Yeah.
She's sitting around waiting for the next big one.
You know what? Everybody in true crime waits for the next big one. You know, sadly, everybody in true crime kind of waits for the big one. Cliff Ann, good to see you. So I will be on tonight, and if you have prison questions, bring them. A lot of people have been reaching out saying they want to hear stuff about, ask questions about prison. This is going to be 9 o'clock Eastern, Ruth, correct. I mean, run. Why do I do that every single time? Run the world. I say Ruth every single time because I can't get past the RU. Run the world, 9 o'clock Eastern.
You know what? I've been thinking it was Ruth since Jump Street.
Have you really? Yeah. See that? How about that?
I knew there was Around the World, but I thought there were two different people.
Wow. I mean, wow.
I played hard, dude.
It's old age.
I played hard.
Come here, Katie Perry. Come here. I wanted to show you guys this cat,
Yeah.
but she's having no part of it. You know why? Because she's a cat. Oh. Katie Perfut. All right, everyone. I am Tommy, and that is a cat that does not fit in any basket. Look at the size of her head.
She's a huge
right? I have the biggest hands you've ever seen. That is a huge cat. Even the paws. Look at that. That's a paw. Cat's a circus freak, but she's such a sweet kitty. She really is.
She breaks stuff.
It's okay. I like the name Ruth. Well, there you go. Right? Don't let me rename you. I've got priors. Chicken Cherry Cola. All right, everybody. I love you. Thanks to everybody that's been sharing my stuff. All of the support from everyone is keeping this channel. It's a horse. It is. It is Chrysler George. It is a white horse, to be sure. And she grows every day, man. She really does. She just keeps getting bigger and bigger. She used to be able to fit in the basket.
She eats 4 times an hour.
Tommy Bird says, get a laundry basket. She literally eats 4 times an hour. It's crazy.
Kristen, thank you so much.
And do check out Chase the Heat in South America. I got some rumors that there's some pretty rowdy stuff getting ready to happen at Chase the Heat South America. I've got some inside info, man. I got some inside info.
That's the truth.
I've got sources. I'm Harvey Levin, for God's sakes. I got sources over at Chase the Heat. Yeah. Aside from just Katy Perry. I've got several sources. All right, people, I'm Tommy. I will see you on the next one. Don't miss tonight's at 9.
10 times the man Harvey Levin is.
I am 10 times the man Harvey Levin is. There's no question. Just in size, for God's sakes. He's not a big man. All right, people, I'll see you on the next one. I'm Tommy. God bless. Bye-bye.